Stephen Bonzo Daniel, also known as Glasgow's Scarface. Daniel's name has become synonymous with crime and violence in the city, earning him a fearsome reputation that resonates through Scotland's dark corridors of criminal history. Stephen Bonzo Daniel was attacked in broad daylight on the streets of Scotland. Despite the clear link between the attack and his rivals, the Lyon family, Daniel denies any animosity towards them, even though it's widely known they orchestrated the assault. The ongoing feud between the Daniels and Lyon crime families has dominated Scotland's criminal scene for nearly a decade. This conflict isn't fought in the courts, but through violent revenge, with both families using bloodshed to settle scores. Stephen Bonzo Daniel is the head of a powerful and ruthless crime family in Scotland, the Daniels. He is also the nephew of crime boss Jimmy Daniel, who recently died of cancer. As the leader of the Daniels family, Bonzo is a prime target for the Lyons. His death would be a significant blow to the Daniels' criminal empire and would help the Lyons gain more influence and power. The brutal gang war between the Daniels and Lyons crime families in Scotland has been a defining feature of the criminal landscape for nearly a decade. This conflict has seen a series of violent incidents, including high-profile attacks and murders, fueled by long-standing rivalries and power struggles. One of the most notable figures in this bloodshed is Stephen Bonzo Daniel, a prominent member of the Daniels family. His story reflects the extreme violence and ongoing vendettas that characterize this feud. Here's a detailed account of the events involving Stephen Bonzo Daniel and the broader context of the gangland conflict. The Daniels and Lyons families have been at odds for many years, contributing to a cycle of violence that has plagued Scotland, particularly Glasgow. The rivalry intensified as both families vied for dominance in the criminal underworld. The Daniels family, led by the late Jimmy Daniel, was known for its involvement in drug trafficking, extortion, and other criminal activities. Jimmy Daniel's death from cancer in 2016 left a power vacuum that his nephew, Stephen Bonzo Daniel, inherited. Bonzo Daniel, who had previously been involved in the criminal activities of the Daniels family, took over leadership roles and became a significant target for rival factions, especially the Lyons. The Lyons, headed by figures such as Paul and Barry Lyons, were equally notorious for their violent methods and criminal enterprises. This ongoing feud between the two families has been marked by attacks, retaliations, and a series of murders, including high-profile incidents that have attracted media attention. On a day in 2017 that started like any other, Stephen Bonzo Daniel faced an attack that would become one of the most violent episodes in this feud. At the age of 39, Bonzo was targeted while driving through Glasgow. The attack was part of a broader strategy by the Lyons to eliminate key members of the Daniels family and assert dominance in the criminal world. The incident began when Bonzo Daniel was driving through Milton, a district in Glasgow. His car was deliberately rammed by a Volkswagen Golf, signaling the start of a violent confrontation. Recognizing the imminent danger, Daniel attempted to flee the scene. His immediate reaction was to disregard traffic laws, speeding through the streets of Glasgow in an effort to evade his pursuers. As Daniel tried to escape, the attackers pursued him relentlessly. The chase took him through various areas of Glasgow, with Bonzo driving at high speeds and even considering dangerous maneuvers, such as driving on the wrong side of the motorway to escape his attackers. The pursuit continued until Bonzo crashed into a pole on the M8 ramp at Port Dundas, a pivotal moment in the attack. Following the crash, the attackers quickly caught up with Bonzo Daniel. The violence that ensued was extreme and targeted. The assailants used a cleaver, hammer, and other bladed weapons to inflict severe injuries on Bonzo. The primary focus was his face, with the attackers aiming to mutilate him severely. Bonzo was left in a critically injured state at the scene. The attackers, having completed their brutal assault, fled, leaving Bonzo behind. Despite the severity of his injuries, Bonzo was fortunate to be close to a hospital. His swift transfer to medical care played a crucial role in saving his life. The severity of Bonzo's injuries required immediate and extensive medical intervention. The attack had left him with a nearly severed nose and severe facial mutilation. First responders initially mistook his injuries for gunshot wounds due to the extent of the damage. However, it was clear that the assault had been carried out with bladed weapons. Upon arrival at the hospital, Bonzo was attended to by a top-class surgeon who began an arduous process of reconstructive surgery. The operations were complex and lengthy, including an 8-hour procedure to reconstruct his face. The medical team worked tirelessly to repair the damage, and Bonzo underwent several surgeries over weeks to address the extensive injuries. The recovery process was long and challenging. Bonzo spent significant time sedated and endured a series of operations to improve his condition. Despite the extensive medical efforts, he was left with permanent scarring, which served as a lasting reminder of the violence he experienced. In the aftermath of the attack, the perpetrators attempted to destroy evidence to avoid identification. They set fire to one of the cars used in the chase, but the police managed to recover crucial evidence. Among the items found was a machete with Bonzo's blood on it. This evidence provided a significant lead in the investigation. The investigation revealed that the attackers had placed a tracker on Bonzo's car, allowing them to monitor his movements and plan the attack with precision. This use of tracking technology was crucial in identifying the culprits and linking them to the crime. The police investigation identified 6 suspects linked to the attack, known as the Cleaver Gang. This group had a history of similar violent crimes, with previous attacks involving similar methods of assault. The Cleaver Gang's pattern of violence and their connection to the Lyons family made them key figures in the ongoing feud. The trial of the Cleaver Gang members was heavily guarded, given the high-profile nature of the case and the potential for further violence. The accused faced charges of attempted murder, and evidence including CCTV footage and tracking data was presented. The court proceedings highlighted the connections between the Cleaver Gang and the Lyons, further illuminating the ongoing rivalry. During the trial, Stephen Bonzo Daniel made statements that appeared to downplay the feud between the Daniels and Lyons families. He claimed there was no significant conflict between the families and denied having any enemies. Bonzo also stated he had no recollection of the attack beyond the initial crash. These statements seem to reflect a desire to avoid further violence and protect himself and his family from potential retribution. The 6 members of the Cleaver Gang were ultimately convicted and sentenced to a combined total of 104 years in prison for their crimes. The convictions were seen as a significant development in the ongoing feud between the Daniels and Lyons, but the violence between the two families continued despite the legal outcomes. The attack on Stephen Bonzo Daniel is a stark example of the violence that characterizes the feud between the Daniels and Lyons crime families. It underscores the extreme lengths to which rival factions will go to assert dominance and settle scores in the criminal underworld. The continued violence has had a profound impact on Glasgow and Scotland as a whole, contributing to a cycle of retribution and conflict that has affected countless lives. The story of Stephen Bonzo Daniel serves as a reminder of the personal toll of gang warfare and the broader societal issues associated with organized crime. Efforts to address gang violence in Scotland have included increased law enforcement measures and community initiatives aimed at preventing youth involvement in criminal activities. However, the persistent nature of the conflict between the Daniels and Lyons families illustrates the challenges faced in combating organized crime and the need for continued efforts to address the root causes of gang violence. Stephen Bonzo Daniel's ordeal reflects the harsh realities of life within Scotland's criminal underworld. His experience highlights the extreme violence that can arise from gang rivalries and the lengths to which individuals will go to exact revenge. As the feud between the Daniels and Lyons continues to evolve, the story of Stephen Bonzo Daniel remains a significant chapter in understanding the complexities and consequences of organized crime in Scotland.